Janelle, do you know, there was no option for it, was there?
No, not really. It looked like it's just gonna take 6 hours. I mean, that's basically what.
I've heard anywhere 15 minutes. My machines took an hour, roughly. Some people have had problems, other people, and I'm in this camp, didn't have any trouble at all.
I didn't have any problems with
It just happened. It just said, wait for the update. Wait, this is Microsoft. Wait for just a few minutes while we update your machine.
Hello, we're happy you're here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So real quick, did you have to download that client?
Nope.
It says, or it came straight through
Nope.
WSEC?
It just comes straight through updates, just like, hey, we're updating you.
I'm on Enterprise Edition.
Oh, if you're an enterprise, then
That's a different.
Different rules.
that's different rules, which then you can push it out by 6 months if you want to, up to 6 months, I think.
Is that what it is?
That was
Usually.
2 years.
Huh?
That was 2 years for enterprise.
No, I don't think it's 2 years, because that gets you too far away from current branch for business. Current branch for business is maybe. I think 18 months might be. I haven't
Yeah.
like dug into the details past since what I was told about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, you can push them out 3 months and then like another little bit. Like, yeah.
We've had a few industrial applications that's broken, so we've,
Right.
okay, well, you can upgrade your machine for $25,000.
But if you're a consumer, you're within the first 3 months of the release.
Right.
So, and I've been told that the Windows 7, Windows 8 product keys
Windows
still worked
Windows 7 and Windows 8 product keys still work.
as of last weekend.
Yeah.
And I
as
think-
of today.
Are they working today too?
Yeah, we
Oh, okay.
upgraded 2 machines today.
Okay.
Oh, so you can still put in your old keys and it just takes them?
We're re-imaging them with Windows 10, and we just dropped the Windows 7 and Windows 8 keys in, and it takes them.
Had you upgraded with those keys in the past?
Nope.
No? Oh.
Yeah, so.
I thought they had to be like
Nope.
basically logged as
We thought so too.
two, but
No, I have not confirmed that
well then.
it's still working, but it's a day by day. Because technically it was July
My guess is.
Yeah, July 31st.
29.
But the reality is they have every incentive to
let
move
you-
to 10 and virtually no incentive to put the plug in that and stop it, because people aren't going to go out and buy Windows 10.
No, people are
They
going to
know
get
that.
out of the machine, yeah.
They was a machine, but the almost, it benefits Microsoft to have more numbers on, just so they can
To
say.
just let people upgrade.
Yes, they can say a billion machines on Windows 10. They market wants that.
Why did they quit the Windows 10 free upgrade then if they don't care?
Because they wanted to put it to try and create a sense of urgency. No, you have to buy it now.
Suppose it has to have value in the market, or else they can't write it.
No, you know what? Nobody knows. I mean, honestly, right? They made a big deal, and some people are saying, oh, they'll extend the deadline, and they soft extended the deadline.
Why do they keep jacking the UI around? Just because.
This is part of Microsoft that nobody understands, and Janelle knows this, even though you work for Microsoft.
We take a lot of the feedback and then change things based on the feedback. So I don't know for sure.
How many things have you changed based on feedback?
Actually, a lot of I've actually seen them they're like, here's the buckets, and like stuff gets sorted into the bucket. They're just like, this is a really big bucket, lots of complaints in this bucket, so we'll change this. And then a lot of what happens is then you get complaints from the other side being like, you changed it, and so then they're like, okay, we'll bring it back kind of in the middle. And I think that's kind of what goes on. I mean, that's my take on it.
Microsoft does listen, and they do change product, but we're talking about the marketing. Right, the marketing stuff, you don't know it.
Marketing is
Its
own animal.
Yeah. And I think what marketing does is they like to throw out leads that are kind of like attorneys, that you kind of throw out a half question, right? While you're interrogating
I think
somebody.
they make decisions by committee with a dartboard.
That's not far from the truth.
No.
I've been in committees before. That's how decisions are made.
Well, plus we have lots of marketing. We've got corp marketing. We have like the business group marketing. There's
North
product
America marketing.
Groups. There's a lot of
Western
different
United
people who are
States,
involved in the marketing message for any one given product. So there's definitely, in some ways you are not far from the truth.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
And then we also have a lot of lawyers who get really particular about how we say things and what we do with them, so then things get like lawyered on top of for a while, and then like what will have been like, can't we just do X, will then be like massively complicated because of some lawyering.
It's true.
So, just a quick
Yeah.
anecdote, since we're stalling a little bit of time. Out in the Redmond campus, right behind the marketing building, are concrete squares, I'm sure you've seen,
You have to
pavers
check it
of
underneath.
every
Yeah.
product that Microsoft has released into public has been, etched into stone and then laid out as pavers into the square. In the last 5 years, we're not talking a lot of products. In the first 15 years, bam! I mean, everybody was getting acquired, changed, and there's new products coming out there. But right now, Microsoft is consolidating, changing. Well, everybody all at once, it's not small, but
Is that true?
I don't know.
So it's the Microsoft Walk of Fame?
it is.
That does actually exist. I do know that exists.
And all the
Yeah.
times I've been there? So where is that on campus?
Behind Building 55.
See, when we go for Summit, we're never near 55 unless you've got a reason.
Do you know where 55 is?
Well, yes, it's on the northwest section of the campus. It's on the main part of the campus, on that side of the freeway, off of, what is it, 85th?
I don't know the streets there. And you can't go by building numbers because 122 is next to 40.
Well,
Right.
Yeah, or 12 or something like that. So is it on the flip side of the freeway? Or is it?
it's on
the common side of the freeway?
The common side, yeah. It's
I'm going there. I gotta
Next
take a
time you
look.
go, you guys.
The next
I don't
charcoal
know
etching or rubbing on it.
of your favorite product, I guess.
That's
Yeah, you
right.
could just be like, oh, I wish, yeah.
I'll lay it on the concrete.
I miss Windows. I miss.
Typing tutor.
Yeah, great picture of Microsoft Bob.
Pretty fun.
Yeah.
So what I've heard, I don't know what you can say, but what I've heard is Microsoft with Windows 10, Satya, or I can't believe Ballmer would do this, but I think Satya came along and just said, look, we're competing with ourselves. Right? Who does Microsoft compete with on desktop? Linux?
Well,
Yeah, right. You know, Apple, yeah, kind of. It's phone.
no, they're on desktop and laptops, they're just trying to stay relevant because mobile is stealing the march on them.
They botched that one.
Yeah.
But from Microsoft's point of view, the client, who are they competing with? Themselves.
Yeah.
So every time they come up with a new version of the client, they have to add new features in.
Well, they have to change the UI seemingly because it gives you.
New features.
No, it's just.
It's a new feature
What is
because
that?
it's a new UI.
It's a new training
looks like a-
product.
I understand, but somebody at Microsoft finally realized and said, you know, this is dumb. We're competing with ourselves, is really what it is. So that's why it's the end of the client. You know, Windows 10 is it.
Actually, I don't think that was really the end of the client. I think it's because they're underway into irrelevancy as far as the client goes. As more.
No. It's because feature-wise, they're selling against themselves.
Well,
They would sell Windows 11 against Windows 10.
And as more and more stuff moves to cloud, you know, there's less and less on the local machine. It's all moved to cloud services.
Still, you need a client.
But yeah,
Is that me or
you
you?
need a client that does anything.
Can you let me know or someone?
You client with a solid browser.
I don't know if I can vouch for latecomers.
Can I go down?
I don't know. You can try.
You told them to be here on time.
Fine.
Yeah, well, you know, it's Bay Area, we're building 100,000 new homes, or do you want to go down?
Well, I can't go because you want me to present. I can't be in two places at once. But
Well,
here, if
do you have to
take-
stay there?
Well, it's going to take me.
Sorry about this.
Can't
but
just go down and. Is it that's texting?
I don't know.
Like, is it worth it? No.
If I go down,
if you want, I don't know if you'll be able to. I mean, I guess I can go down if you want me to run down.
if you want to run down, let me just field stuff for.
Okay, I'll go down real quick.
That's the problem with being in this building. Okay. What else you want to complain about?
Hold on, I don't want to leave without my phone.
The secrecy of next month's, this month's updates, and how it's gonna be one freaking file versus a bunch of different files.
I have no idea. It's a secret. Has anybody tried the roll-up, Windows 7 roll-up?
Oh, man. Or it doesn't work at all, or you have to find that particular one that prevents.
Yeah.
I found it now, and you install that, and then it. I have tried a few times, but even if you install that and then you do updates again, it won't find them. It's just spinning.
Well, I'm fortunate now for the limited number of running locally. I apparently got it and I have no idea how. So I'm like that.
So I installed Windows 7 about half a month ago, or a month, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. And for days, I tried to do the Windows 7, right? Brand new install, Windows 7 Service Pack 1. For day after day, you know, just wait a few minutes, we'll do the updates. And it never took. And I kept trying and trying, and I read something, I forgot what. And then, I guess, was it a registry setting?
There was some of that going on, but I don't know how I fixed it.
Yeah, but you download a file, right? You download the big,
I did that.
yeah, and then that
I
would
don't
not
know
install.
what, and I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I did a bunch of stuff, so
So,
I got so
yeah, this is
frustrated.
really
I
squirrely.
got so frustrated, and finally, I have about 5 machines running Windows 7, and they all are like that. I mean, this one here, snappy. I got a laptop here running, and I got a couple of, yeah, I mean, none of them are having a problem now. But I went through months of that, especially when 10 was being pushed.
Yeah, God, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, and you know, I read stuff like, of course, I heard, you know, the rumor they're doing it on purpose to push you to go to 10. I say, okay, that's a potential, but probably because the servers are getting hit like crazy.
I found a
10.
few of them,
Oh, you found some.
and I gave all the little badges to the security guards down there, so they're
Does that
being.
work?
I don't know if it'll work, but
We'll try.
we'll try it. He seems, the security guard that came to get me seemed reasonable in a way that sometimes the security downstairs is not. So let's just leave it at that.
What I understand about how Windows updates is gonna come this month is, at my job, we only install the security updates. We don't bother with the non-security updates or the driver updates. And now what they're gonna do this next month is roll out, it's an all or nothing thing. They're gonna, you know, you can't pick and choose what you wanna install and not install.
You do know why we do it that way now, though, don't you?
Tell me about
Pray
it.
tell.
Oh, pray tell.
So here's roll in. You take
Okay,
over,
all right.
Tell us about
Unlock
it.
the
Nice.
mystery.
Unlock the mystery. It's not okay. It makes perfect sense when you sort of think about it. It comes down to the fact that every time so you're basically saying, oh, I want to customize the basically random selection of updates that we want to use. Okay, so that creates a version of Windows, like that's your version of Windows. And then Jeremy over here picks the ones he wants, and then he's now got a slightly different version of Windows because there's different drivers or different patches on them. And then, you know, Doug has his version of Windows, and everybody ends up with their own individual version of Windows that's slightly different than, you know, everybody else's because of the way that the patches are installed. So then we go to roll out an update, and we can only test against so many different permutations of all those little patches. So by bundling them and forcing you to take all of the patches, now we have a set amount of possible versions of Windows that we have to test all of our additional features and changes up against. You know, we have long-term servicing plans with the current branch for business at a certain patch level, you know, and so we only have maybe a dozen different versions to test at instead of the completely, you know, random number of possibilities.
And that makes, I get that concept, but what about the concept where, you know, like Windows Search, for instance, you know, when you have Windows Search installed on the server, it's going to take up all the logs, and it's going to blow up, and then you're deleting that log running scripts to delete that log every month, and this, that, and the other. So, that's one of those non-security patches that you don't never bother with because you already uninstalled Windows Search. So my thing is,
Right.
now you're going to say, hey, take all of these patches in this one freaking file, and if there's some patches in there that blow your systems up because you've been blocking them for all these years, or all these months or whatever, now you're going to get them, figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. I'm not saying that it is by any means ideal for every possible scenario, but the goal with it is to make it so that there is less situations where your situation blows up because our testing is basically more consistent. Yeah.
Have some feedback.
Sure, there's a button for that somewhere.
I appreciate it. It's much more convenient for Microsoft to do that. It doesn't really matter what's happening in people's environments. I'm not blaming you, isn't you personally.
It wasn't my idea.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
You may not even
Don't
approve
shoot the
it.
messenger.
Yeah. Why don't they just go ahead and push it all, but don't force install of features that you've disabled or turned off or uninstalled? Put the code base there.
Right, and
but
just
then,
leave it off.
But not going to change your settings and force things on you that you've consciously made the decision that I don't want this,
Or give me an
without,
advanced button that
I
clicks,
think the
choose advanced
feedback
options.
crescendo is rising.
without requiring us to
That is good feedback.
to have thought ahead and installed core.
Right.
The problem with that logic, though, is the fact that everybody does have an individual Windows instance, because they're
Yeah.
running different drivers, running
you
different
want
systems.
that.
This is a server, this is a client, this is an
Yeah.
exchange system,
Yeah.
this is running SMS or SMS,
Or
what are the latest versions?
These
SSIM.
applications,
They're all
this
different.
hardware.
So by definition, they're all different, so they should require different patch sets. If you take the same patch set, shove it down, and install everything, that's worse than having people install different stuff and
And then, okay, let's say you blow some servers up with that whole concept. Is it one thing where, because we're in security remediation and everything's checked and that whole bit. Is it a way, okay, it's one file you download, I know what the problem is there just a piece I uninstall? Or is it the whole freaking file I uninstall and now I'm behind 1 month?
1 month and stuff like that. Yes.
So I can address this thing. So I understand that, like with Windows 7, they started the whole thing, and Windows 10, where when you do the install, you install the whole damn code base. You install everything. That's why you can do the anytime update from 7 Home to 7 Pros. So the whole code base is there. They can update the code base and just not force you, because it seems like, I hear what you're saying, the last few times they push patches down, we go in and it's like all sorts of stuff's been changed in terms of what selections have been made, and now the machines are performing
And
differently
this is
because they
on
turn things on.
2012. This is like on our
And
system.
2012 too.
Right.
Yeah, but they turn things on that we had turned off, and vice versa, back to the same jacked up defaults that Microsoft ships things with.
Okay, that is fair feedback. And the way that what I just explained, is ideal right now for, say, Windows 10, because of the way that we develop Windows 10 now.
I get it. You see the code
And
base.
trying to kind of put those same rules on an older version of server is less than ideal.
And I would assume those rules are for consumers. You're not going to shove that through SCCM.
Right.
So if you use
If you're using SCCM, you
Still
do
okay.
gain.
Yeah.
Huh? What?
Okay,
Right. Yeah. Anything that does that SCCM, you get that same level of control that you had before. But depending on how you have.
Well, more or less.
More or less. Yeah. Yeah. Not saying we're not in a awkward administration time right now. But yes.
I don't know.
so now I'm confused. Is it you still can do what you did before? Or is it one file in, one file out?
Well, you can still. I'm pretty sure you can still do what you want with that one file. I don't think you can break the file apart and be like, I want this component on that
You're
file.
saying that with SCCM.
But with SCCM, as I understood it, you got the patches more individually. Right.
Yeah.
So I haven't
But
touched
you gotta
SCCM
really
in 3 years. So
Because if they were really smart, if the engineers that were doing this were really, really smart, they pushed in a new whim, and you use that, you know, as your gold standard. Here, we've updated the gold standard, and leave all of your settings and so forth untouched. You know?
Right.
So we're not going to force new features on you. We're just going to make them available so you can go in and turn them on if you want to.
Right.
Those sorts of things. You know, if they were really, really smart.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have the end all be all answer to that one. You know, to any of it.
Do you have an email address for who does?
If you want, you can email me, and I'll just.
Well, you just said that you don't have all the answers.
I don't know all the
what's that
answers,
gonna do?
but I can.
She's the messenger.
But I'm the messenger, and I can pass.
Are
I'm
they going to
happy.
shoot you?
Huh?
I may use harsh language.
No, but we have like places where we can post those sort of things. And then user voice, if you've ever been to that, we have that whole portal as well for that sort of feedback.
I'll push you back to the Microsoft Partner Network too.
There you go. That's another good way to go. I mean, yeah, I have not touched SCCM in 3 years, and I haven't had to patch a server of my own in at least. In as much time.
Slacker.
Well, I usually just gonna take all the updates and hit go, you know.
How
So
quickly we forget.
yeah, this is what happens when you do everything in Azure. So
And that was you and Little Peanut.
right, you know,
You have
so
minions.
yeah, I have minions.
Some of
but,
my minions.
But yeah, but I don't have it all in my head. But that's the theory behind us wanting to bundle the packages, particularly around Windows 10. And I expect that we'll see a very similar model with 2016, but it is certainly very painful trying to package that on top of a server that's 4 years old, 7 years old, however old it is.
Well, it should be though, because that's the way that it installed too. I mean, it was here. We're gonna push the whole code base out, and then you turn on the pieces you need. I'm with him.
Right, like I didn't realize that people like that. It was like, oh, I had this turned off and it turned it on. Like that would annoy me too.
Wouldn't it?
Yes.
If you were still running your servers.
Yes, that would annoy me too. So I understand your pain. But hey, I can tell you what's new from Ignite.
Let's go.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
what's new?
What's new from Ignite? So
You're gonna used to use case.
yeah, it was
You used to use case.
It was comfortable. It was actually quite San Francisco-esque. But you know, of course, I was in a conference center, so I was cold the whole time, because it is, and I was there with 26,000 of my closest friends, which was also awesome. My highlight was actually running into the systems administrator I used to work with my first IT job. So it was there. So that was actually pretty cool. So I think that those conferences are more about the people and the networking than it really has to do with the sessions. The sessions are great, and it's great to, you know, catch one and stuff like that. And they did a really nice job with live streaming just about everything. So if you went to one session and it sucked, you could live stream another one without having to like walk across like this huge conference center. And I was averaging about 12,000 steps a day. So I got some exercise.
How long did it take for you to get from A to C?
C. Oh yeah, it takes a good 15 minutes to get from A to C, and of course lunch was in the end of A or the end of C. So you know, anyway. And lunch
I remember half an hour.
sucked. For any of you who've done like
Really?
tech ed, oh yes. So I didn't stay for the party, but like I looked at the paper. So they had like bands and stuff all over the place. But anyway, all right, so
Was the Coca-Cola Museum on the agenda?
No, it wasn't, because now with 24,000 people. Announcements for those of you. So server 2016, it has arrived. Generally available as of the 26th, so volume licensed people, you'll be able to get those downloads in mid-October. You can download, it's available via ActiveAl now. So this is our cloud-ready operating system that you've all heard about and hopefully played with through the various TPs. Some of the stuff that they really were highlighting was the built-in security, the software-defined infrastructure. We've really taken a big jump, or a big embraced a lot of the software-defined networking. That a lot of this is what makes Azure function on the back end these days, and it's totally cloud ready now with the different versions that you can install. We have the full version with the GUI. We have the, basically the mini version without the GUI, but still all the full underlying stuff, core. And then we have the nano version, which is kind of like the Linux version of Windows. If somebody from Linux made Windows, that's what they would make, yes.
So is there any effort to go back to the idea of a branch office with limited security and single domain trusts and that kind of stuff?
I mean, you can still implement that sort of structure, but I would imagine that our main message about that is why would your branch office, if you could do things with Office 365 and move most of your structure to the cloud, you wouldn't necessarily need that branch office sort of same idea that we've done in the past.
Except for Sarbanes-Oxley requires.
So yeah, so there's nothing.
Compliance.
Yeah, there's HIPAA compliance. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from doing those same things. I don't know if AD runs on Core. I think it
Of
does.
course it does.
Of course it does. But it doesn't run on Nano. So the only things that run on Nano right now are like web services and file services and DHCP, DNS. Hyper-V as a host to give you that small footprint underneath your host so that when you patch your host you don't have to reboot all your guests. And for, depending on what your application or your business potentially does, for you to maybe take advantage of containers down the line and stuff like that. So, so you're still looking at probably using core and full primarily in your on-prem right now, and then looking at how you might change or refactor parts of your infrastructure to take advantage of the smaller footprint where it makes sense. I fully expect we'll see, more changes and more features to Nano as it comes along, but that's what we've got. We also announced our Docker partnership. So this is enabling customers to run Docker containers on Windows Server, and that's actually built in now. So we commercially support their Docker engine. So if you have an organization that has developers that are using Docker, we actually will provide enterprise support options for the Docker engine, backed by the Docker people. So you call us for your Docker problems on your Windows Server. Yes.
No, it says that no additional cost, no additional licensing cost.
Cost, no additional license, like you don't, yeah.
Like, okay.
Like you just get Docker with Windows.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. System Center 2016 is also generally available for download. So for those of you who are using System Center, which I know several of you might be, we've updated it to support all of 2016. We've enhanced, performance and usability, of course, and you can now extend management to the cloud with our operations management suite as well. So you can tie those things together to manage anything that you have in the cloud, along with the stuff that's on-prem. I forgot my clicker, so. That's what happens when you unpack your bags from Ignite. So. And the other thing that we've kind of announced is a few things to bring cloud computing to on-premises. First one is Azure Service Fabric, which is what we use to underpin some of the app services in Azure. It's called Service Fabric. We actually have a version that runs on Windows Server, so that's now generally available. So that's a feature you can turn on server on-prem to then sort of bring that cloud application Service Fabric features to your on-prem applications. So depending on, usually would require a major refactoring of your on-prem applications depending on what they are and what they do. So it wouldn't be for out-of-box line of business apps in general, but if you have a developer shop that is developing in-house applications, you could refactor it to run on Service Fabric. And then we also have Azure Stack Technical Preview 2 was also announced. So that Azure Stack is the ability to run an Azure cloud multi-tenant environment, but keep that on-prem and allow whoever your customers are to go ahead and self-service from your on-prem infrastructure. So we've done a lot of updates to that with the TP2. Now you can take advantage of a Key Vault service and Queue storage, and they've added in VPN gateway. And we also at Ignite showcased our integrated systems. We have Dell, HP, and Lenovo. So contrary to Azure Pack, where you could just download it and install it on any hardware that you had lying around, we require that you use integrated systems for Azure Stack with this first iteration to make sure that it actually works the way we want it to work for you.
What a great feature.
I know, yes. Yeah, what a great feature, yeah. Pros and cons to that feature, but anyway, that's it. So then we announced a bunch of cloud Azure related things that are out there. So when it comes to the cloud, we have the Azure Security Center now. So we have new public preview features. So using Security Center allows you to actually look at the things that you've deployed in Azure and look at incidents and look at alerts and have it already give you a security assessment on your VMs and your infrastructure components in Azure to let you know, oh, well, this isn't encrypted and stuff like that. So you actually get a lot of feedback from that security center, and it will also track any compromised systems and block the DDoS and brute force and let you know about those sort of attacks. So we keep adding new features to that. Azure Key Vault for certificates. Has anybody played with Azure Key Vault at all? If you need a vault to put your key secrets in, we now added support for certificates, which we didn't have previously, which is nice because if you're doing any sort of management of Linux servers or anything else that's using certificates as the primary way to authenticate, being able to put them in a storage vault so that you don't have to copy them around is handy. So prior to this support for certificates, you could only put in usernames and passwords and something else that wasn't a certificate. We've also announced our storage service encryption. So this is on the blob storage for blocks and page blobs. So that's VMs and any sort of regular just kind of block storage that you're using, not the queues or the files. And any new storage account that you create, you can go ahead and enable encrypt this, and it will automatically be encrypted on the back end using Microsoft managed keys. So you won't be able to see the keys that manage them, but the encryption's in there, and then you have access with your subscription to run those VMs. So they just use AES 256, and all of that's fully managed when with the key management. We also announced Azure DNS. So now you can host your DNS names in Azure. So you can manage all of your DNS records with your same subscription and credentials that you would manage your whole Azure subscription. So you don't have to go over to, GoDaddy or whoever you do your DNS with to manage those records there. You can manage them right in Azure. IPv6 support. Ed Horley is not here tonight, but he's very pleased to find out that we now support IPv6 on the Azure VMs. So it's actually dual stack, so you can use the IPv4 or IPv6 for all your VMs.
Oh, great. So one question.
Yeah.
Did they provide any feedback on the drivers that they're going to provide? Because the ones who were used before were unreliable IPv6 for VMs. That's why they weren't using them. I mean, that's the issue. Now, did we hear anything from Intel? Have they certified this stuff? Obviously,
that is more detail than I have been given privy to based on.
Okay. Maybe somebody did.
I don't. Wait a second. Hold on. Let me look in the additional notes to see if I've got anything extra on there. No, nothing about drivers. So I don't know.
So the network drivers they're providing work good, fine. That's all we have to do.
That's all I know about it.
Are they allowing advanced networking? I mean, can you create a group of VMs? Can you do any of that now?
Oh, we have a whole bunch of advanced networking now. I'll run through some of it, and and there's some other stuff that prior, depending on when last time you've looked at Azure. We've also added on Diagnostics for our network security groups and routes, so that's generally available, so you can troubleshoot all of your connectivity, view the effective security permissions based on how you have your network security groups all set up. You can view the full list of effective routes. You can control all of that sort of stuff now. If you're comparing it to the ASM version with the cloud services from like about a year ago, the networking under the Azure Resource Manager side is all redone. So now you can completely mimic anything that you've got on-prem. You can limit which VMs can talk to each other based on the routing that you set up and the security groups. So it's actually pretty robust now compared to the way it was even a year and a half ago. We've added multiple virtual IP addresses for the internal load balancer. So that was originally the internal load balancer. You could only have one IP address. So now you can do multiples in that. So that allows you to have a more scalable environment. Particularly good for SQL and anything that sort of needs an IP that is covering a cluster. So that is available now. And we've also added an ultra performance gateway, which is even faster, and VNet peering, which is actually really cool, because if you had to connect a VNet to a VNet prior to VNet peering, you had to do two gateways and sort of connect them and pay like double gateway costs for those things to talk to each other. So now you can actually do VNet peering across virtual networks and different subscriptions. So if you have different parts of the org that have paid for different, have different Azure agreements and have different amounts of money, and they are building stuff, you can connect them with that. And you can also connect a V1 network to a V2 network. So it's also a good way for if you're doing any transitioning from resource manager or service manager versions of VMs to resource manager versions of VMs, the peering can really help you with that. The only thing that you can't peer are two classic virtual networks, because the peering component only comes from the ARM side. But that's a big win. We can also do multiple IPs per NIC now. This is in public preview. It's not GA, so not quite as generally available. But this gives you up to 250 private public IP addresses allotted to each NIC on your VM. So now you can host, multiple websites from one server and do a lot of the things that you could do on an on-prem server. You can now do in the cloud, which you couldn't do that one before. Particularly important for microservices and containers, because containers traditionally containers on one host or one guest are going to share the IP address of that machine. So now you can put 250 containers on that one machine and give them all their own IP address. Which on some levels defeats the purpose of having all these containers, because now you've assigned them IP addresses and they sort of matter again, but here nor there. We've also added in accelerated networking. This is in public preview. And for anybody who's done anything with Server 2012 R2 with the SRIOV hardware, where you can skip over the virtual NIC driver and go straight to the hardware, we basically now have this available on the back end. So you can take advantage of accelerated networking to get your higher performance on your VM network. So that's also pretty neat. You can just turn that on with PowerShell. Also, Azure still loves Linux. Microsoft still loves Linux. So we also put out a few things for Linux that is now in preview. Service Fabric, which was only available initially to developers doing .NET. We now have Service Fabric features for Linux in preview. And we also, the Azure Disk Encryption, we support Linux VMs now as well, instead of just Windows VMs. So with the Windows VMs, we use BitLocker, and for the Linux VMs, we use whatever the Linux equivalent is of BitLocker. We've also announced the public preview of the Azure CLI 2.0. So if you are a Linux user or a Mac user and you want to be able to manage Azure through the command line, the new command line tool is now in preview. So and you can actually just find that on GitHub and download the beta. It's more native to POSIX. It's, Bash users should be happy. It will only support the ARM-based services, though. You can't manage any of the classic Azure with it. So there's that one, and if you still have the classic stuff, you have to use the current CLI instead. Some final tidbits. We also announced Azure services from local data centers in Germany now. So Germany is set up in a similar way that China is. They run their own their own vendor that runs Azure services. We also have Microsoft Identity Manager SP1 is in GA. Intune had a September release, so now we support Android for Work.
So is this Microsoft Identity Mangler or Manager?
Oh, Manager, it's a lot of typing, a lot of copying and pasting.
Okay.
Manager, yes. And the Intune SDK support Xamarin now, depending on what your developers use. Power BI and Desktop and Services GA. And we also rolled out cognitive services in China North. So if anybody wants to play with the cognitive services that we have, and they're in China, they can do that now, because that has to be deployed on the China, whatever their Net 21 or whoever their vendor is that does that. I think that really was final tidbits. So that's pretty much all the stuff that came out of Ignite in 20 slides.
Microsoft is still mourning Steve Jobs passing, aren't they?
What do you mean?
Well, Palmer had a hard-on for everything that Jobs ever did. But he's gone now. There's a new guy.
I can't speak to that because I didn't know Balmer personally.
If you've ever, read the news.
So anyway, so I feel like it was a good amount of good stuff. A lot of the things that annoyed me about Azure are kind of improved now. Setting up the VPN peering was a big one, as well as a couple of the others, just kind of making it a little easier. Oh, I missed it, I forgot to mention it, we also announced like a couple more sizes of virtual machines too. We've got like N, H, or so. No, like different combinations. We've got new letters.
Azure's gonna be more mature. They're taking more pages from Amazon's playbook, and they're taking more pages.
We've got an H. Yeah, it's an H series is the one that's missing. That's one that's new now. Huge? Yeah, I know. I don't know if it stands for huge.
You got 3 sizes of VMs. You got Wii, and that's the way in friggin' huge.
No,
Yeah,
we've
let's
got
see.
different speed COM ports.
Oh, so this is kind of like the replacement of the A8s to the A11s. It's now it's H, and it's got RMDA networking, and I don't know what a fast processor. I don't know how fast. It doesn't tell me here. But yes, H. So that's what I got. So it was a good show. Satya spent a lot of time. One of his whole keynotes was all about democratizing AI and basically making AI for the masses to be able to do so that people can use it to do more things and use like
Less.
Does he know what AI means?
More with
yes
less.
yes he does. Some of the examples they gave was
Yeah, he's got cyber all figured out.
Yeah. Some of the examples he gave, there was a demo where like Uber is rolling out facial recognition now for additional security. So you order a ride and it will prompt, the driver to, take a picture with their camera right then and there, and then, use the cognitive services to make sure that, that's really them and stuff like that, and it's not, some.
This is both ways, right?
What do you mean? Oh, for the people? No, like it doesn't make the people.
driver.
It doesn't make the customer take a picture yet. It's all the other way. But
You had a picture of your driver sent to you. Oh, this guy was showing up to pick you up.
right, yeah. So
No, I mean, with
No,
the
but-
FBI report and everything else, the police
Oh,
report.
they
the
just
driver.
dip right in.
Okay.
Oh no, they just dip right in.
I don't know anything about that. But just really talking about trying to figure out ways to make AI improve.
So
Yeah.
he was talking about advancing like library accessibility for developers, or are we talking about blob kind of work where we're saying how many left-handed yellow-haired people exist in Fresno? And it is able to figure out what I want, and that I have to go and get vital statistics and figures all that out, or is it more specific to an application, like finding a curve in a picture, or
I think more specific to an application, finding a curve in a picture and stuff like that. But obviously there's a whole lot of big data around that when it comes to how many left-handed people are in Fresno.
Right.
But yeah, it really would depend on, the app developer and what parts, what data they would be collecting and stuff
But
like
he
that.
wasn't necessarily pushing or suggesting anything other than just making,
It easier for
that always sounds like Microsoft is about ready to make it harder and expensive
Expensive
to
to
get
make
into something.
into something, but with basically with the cognitive services running on Azure, making it much more of a service that you can tap into,
Yeah.
as opposed to something that you have to build an entire infrastructure for yourself in order to gain access to that that level of compute power or computing results. That's what I got.
Okay.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, so cool stuff, if
Should
you-
we applause?
I don't care.
I was proud of the fact that she had to spend the money and you didn't have to. That was-
I didn't have to spend the money they sent.
She got expensed.
Yeah, actually, I had a pretty hefty expense report for that. So.
I was kind of hoping for for a desktop as a service announcement like this.
Yeah, no, nothing on desktop as a
It's
service.
just like this massive, glaring black hole at Microsoft. It's like I've got my last company was all of our clients are SMBs from like 20 to like 100 people, and they've all got these lovely Zero clients, no stuff under the desk, and all the desktops are coming from a data center. Of course, you get all the complication of licensing and all that sort of thing. And now my company, my new clients, they're all running Amazon workspaces. And we're running this like desktop experience of Server 2008 R2. And it's just like, this would be so, and they're running Office 365, the new clients, because I think it's a great service. But it's like, why can't I do all this in Azure and have all their virtual desktops up there,
Right.
beaming that down to their nice Zero clients, all tied in with the same account and Office 365? It's perfect.
You can't use it to roll your own.
I mean, why are
Yeah.
they so resistant to it?
And this is
The
completely.
name of the person responsible.
I don't have the
Give us
name of
the
the
name.
person.
Give us the
I
names
give you a
now.
name. Yeah, you'll all be like going up to Redmond being like, this is the person whose head we want on a stick. No.
I think one person would be sufficient.
Just one person.
As long as
One
they-
person
As
can
long
go.
as they're showing
If,
up high.
if it's somebody with that's public enough, the others will take notice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, you're in a different position here in front of all of us, but I mean, I've heard it's like they've been sort of threatened by the OEMs that if you ever make it so that it's easy to run,
Dell's got that now. Dell's actually got it.
run it in VDI and just sell it as a service, like they'll all just go, say.
Because they live all, they're developing hardware and they have,
Right.
I wouldn't be, surprised if there isn't, obviously some of that. I mean, everything that kind of happens in Microsoft tends to have a lot of factors coming from a lot of different things. One of the things that I sort of look at as coming as a consumer and having parents that are consumers and things like that, I think one of the things that they're trying to make a little bit easier with Office 365, with the way that apps development, with the way that Windows 10 is kind of being delivered at this point, is to make it almost, if you're tied in enough to the cloud services, it doesn't really matter what computer you log on to. However, from those.
Wait, does that mean that the client is going to be irrelevant?
Well, that
Is that what you're saying?
Well, that the client becomes, that the individual client becomes less relevant. The only problem is that you still need all those clients.
So the desktop
in those-
OS really ceases to matter at that point.
It already pretty
But I'm
much
talking
is.
about more like.
But you don't want the client at all. You want a dumb
For
terminal.
Some people like the hybrid thing, but a lot of people are like, no, I don't want my desktop down here and all my data up there.
There, right.
I want my desktop up there with the data.
Data, right.
You know?
Well, the argument's always been that thin client remote booting takes longer than, say, doing a local boot. And maybe that ain't the case today, but I tell you, that was the argument in manufacturing 10, maybe even 20 years ago. Everybody came up faster and faster networking, but then you had heavier apps running on the CPU and you didn't have the speed that you needed. Now we got everything, but we still don't want to take the time to boot off the remote feed, taking an image off, something, booting up, whatever you want. Today,
Right.
I'll pull Apple.
Right,
do
and
anything.
to your point, we have so much computing power in Azure right now. It's not like you have the same problems that we had
Nope.
even 5 or 7 years ago when, how many users can I, theoretically run off of this host before everybody's complaining that everything's too slow.
So we're a bunch of brains here. We're all solving problems every day. So here's the deal. So instead of booting a complete remote boot option, you you've got a whole bunch of already assembled memory and you know, you've got dictionaries and libraries already on this
spun
box.
instances.
And you just bring down the latest UI and the latest patches or whatever necessary. That's a lot quicker, and you now have taken all of that hardware stuff that, you know, gets icky because you have to have special drivers. That's all, it's the IT pro's fault. He'll make sure that it's got all the right stuff to boot remotely off of the VM image you want them to have.
Application virtualization for all your apps.
Which is
Just
where we
dial
want
it up.
to be. I want to download a VM. I want to download VM number 252, version 3.
I'm gonna download it or just plug into it.
Well, it'll appear like I'm plugging into it because as soon as I connect to the network and log in and my security credentials are authorized, my stream is started. You know,
I'm just concerned, it's like, and it's not like an altruistic, well maybe it is a little bit towards Microsoft, some kind of misplaced loyalty or something like that, but it's just like, I feel like they're so resistant to this, and it's just like, when they do get things right, like Office 365, it's such a great product, and it's just like, who's doing Exchange service anymore? Hardly anybody.
Right, hardly,
And it
yeah,
just
hardly
really
anybody.
works.
Yeah.
And I'm just afraid things like will pass them by, and then they'd be like scrambling to catch up, you know?
You mean like they always do, where they miss things when they first roll out and
Yeah,
and
it's
about
just
iteration
like-
3 they go,
I just know
oh,
a lot
this is
of,
gonna
I
be
know a
important.
lot of
We should
people in this
start.
sort of VDI business who are just like, please let us have this now.
Yeah, we're in the process of rolling our own because that's what our clients want.
and that is actually
Yeah, our
where it's
clients want
going.
mobility, so we're rolling our own. We're working on some stuff in Azure, but for the most part, you know, I've found a source for servers where I get servers cheap. They're a couple years old, but if I put enough of them, and if I'm paying $200 a piece for them, and I can give 5 or 10 desktops, to a Dell R720, I'm running on solid states, plenty of RAM. They're fast.
Yeah.
I mean, and we don't shut them down and spin them up. They aren't instantiated when you log in. We keep them spun up
Right.
so that you log in, you're in.
Right,
You're in
right.
now. It's running. We boot it every night, but you're in and you're running.
Right.
Right, there's nothing preventing you from running terminal services in Azure.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, there is nothing preventing. As a matter of fact, there is not anything preventing you from doing that, and you can allocate enough processor, enough RAM, and fast storage so that it's
You gotta have enough seat licenses and,
I mean, yeah, that's
small
just
licensing. It makes it so easy.
there you go.
It makes it makes it affordable.
affordable, yeah.
Yeah, not easy,
Well,
but
it's just, now,
affordable.
you're doing a cost benefits analysis, and it's difficult to do a benefits analysis when the new hardware is so damn cheap that, and your server now is getting, triple terabyte memory, and, where it's really almost impossible for an IT guy to say, I need another seat over here. Well, where are you gonna put the money? You're gonna put it in the IT infrastructure, you're gonna drop it on his desk.
Right.
It's always been the IT infrastructure gets it first.
Right.
And then, the stuff that was maybe working over in development ends up over in manufacturing, they don't care. They just need a color screen.
So have you looked at App V?
Looking now, no,
Don't look too hard.
Is it going away, or have they already started deprecating?
So have you looked at Windows containers
yes,
and what's going on with that?
right.
So isn't that App V?
No, because you still have to have an operating system in order to load it.
Well, your host has the operating system.
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to say. You want to get away from having a 2012 R2 server in order to run your VMs. You want to have a box to run the VM in occasionally. That's all I'm saying. Cheap box, doesn't require 64-bit, just requires all of the libraries.
Well, actually, you have
can
a
do
nano
a-
server
a
as
VM
the host,
Hypervisor.
as the hypervisor host, and you can run containers that run any Windows thing on top. So you can have nano as a host and still run VMs with full server on top of that.
I hear you. I would have to test it to see how that would go.
So let me just tell you, the direction Microsoft is going with the anniversary update, one of the features that they've added is containers in the client. So take a hint at where Microsoft is going with that.
Damn, I love it. Each user has their own system, even though it's a log in, log out. That's awesome. That'd be good.
So
But it also
my-
benefits developers because they're developing containers on their Windows box,
Yeah.
and then
Right,
you
well,
move that
sandbox,
container in. Yeah.
we're talking about the same things.
Yeah. So AppV has been out for a decade.
Gosh, a long time.
Yeah. Has that really caught on? No. Right? You know,
There's always these arguments between the hardware and the
right.
cost of the vendor.
AppV was the shell game.
Yeah.
Do you want the problems with the client or do you want the problems with AppV? And you had your own problems with AppV that you had to deal with in a different way. Most people weren't familiar with AppV. It never really caught on.
Everything I always wanted to use AppV for required me to basically put everything in that one package in order to run, in
Yeah.
order for things to run. You know.
It furthered all your problems.
Right.
Is what it did.
It's a shell game. It just moved them to
well,
a different area.
Yeah.
Right.
You just solve all the problems up front. And,
Yeah,
and then you know,
Yeah,
that's where you
yeah,
invested your time
yeah.
in building
But
that.
there were
What you're gonna build.
incompatibilities and there were, you know,
There are
it
always
was,
problems with
it's
it.
like running blade servers, right?
There's always problems.
There are little quirks with it. But I think if you look at where Microsoft is going, and it's gonna be, I think, a slow road to get there, but it looks like this whole container thing is the way that they're going, right? The partnership with Docker.
They're catching up with Android at lightning speed.
Microsoft.
So is Apple.
At lightning speed.
Yeah. One's going up, one's going down, right? That's how you look at it.
Well, you still have to find where the money is and make a good buck out of it. I mean, it's really tough. If all of your computing power is in Utah and you're trying to sell an operation, a whole bunch of really nice solutions, that all they have to do is run wires and plug in, you know, cheap boxes and everything they need is there, you've got to also sell them on locality. There's a second place where they're local, so if there was a fiber shot, I mean, so the argument just keeps going no matter what you do. Oh, we've got all the power, we've got all this memory, we've got all these CPUs, but if there's a glitch, well, that shuts down your operation. So you've got to dang near have it in premises, and this shoots the whole thing in the foot.
Yep.
Because you already spent the money.
Yeah, we've got a couple kinds of solving that with redundancy in the bandwidth. But the carriers just, well, it's the price. It's a killer price to bring, you know, 2 decent bandwidth connections into a business.
Those are 3-star.
Well, I mean, I'm talking bringing just a 50 megabit connection.
Yeah.
2 of them bring 2 50 megabit connections in.
So I
Less than
had a
network,
client or
yeah.
customer or whatever,
San Diego.
and they had 2 of those things, and there was a disaster, and they switched up to the backup and found out both those wires went under the same bridge that got flooded.
Right. Like there's always
Yeah.
there's always some single point of failure that you try to work
back on
around.
the East Coast, there was the tunnel that
You know, whatever, yeah.
God, that was a long time ago.
Well,
Never mind.
last
Forget it.
month I was asking if anybody'd run into having any maintenance or support issues for Georgia or for the Southwest, or Southeast. They had floods, and all of AT&T's equipment got wet. I mean, this is just terrible stuff. So, but nobody had any questions or stories, so I assumed all of it got fixed without tearing down the network and rebuilding.
Well, they've got a lot of redundancy in their network. I mean, they've got.
They got hit with MCI's bug once, and I know that they're not that redundant.
Well, they weren't that redundant.
Okay, you're right. You're right. I don't know what they did
Yeah,
yesterday.
they've been putting a lot of money into things.
Yeah. Gosh, what else is going on in the IT world?
Oh gosh.
I'm really hit by this whole thing about autonomous cars. This is really super, because this
Did you
means.
say you got hit by?
You got hit by an autonomous car.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm really getting hit, because this, you know, increases the build out of infrastructure, wireless networking is gonna become, if it isn't already, ubiquitous, it's gonna become more ubiquitous along any road. And it's gonna be really a big deal for a lot of new techs, when they coming into the market, they're gonna play with radios for years, I guess.
There's a bunch of acreage out in Contra Costa County, out in Concord, the old Concord Naval Weapons Station, that they're going to be putting an autonomous vehicle testing facility in as part of the build out. I've been working with Susan Bonilla until she left office, but we're working with her replacement to make sure that a lot of their business goes to local businesses. So we're trying to make sure
That's good.
That's going to happen.
We're trying to make sure that there's a carve out, that some percentage of the development there is going to go to local businesses. So you know, so Bechtel is going to do it all, or you know. So.
Yeah, well, it sounds like they got the right idea, because that's right next to the CHP training ground. So,
Indeed.
you know, they've got their head in the right spot. not unlike other times when they've done this like completely far away from anybody else. Nobody could see what they're doing, and they couldn't like use other people's facilities and save dollars. Hell, was it Ford threw out all of their prototype electric cars? That was only 15 years ago. They threw them all away after they tested them and they were great. They said there's no market for them.
Well, yeah, but they didn't have the infrastructure to be able to charge them,
Right.
was the problem, right? They still don't really.
Really, no, actually.
Yeah, our
We had a neighbor in our condo who's put in,
yeah.
put in his own plug for his.
What'd that cost?
Well, they start
Actually,
blowing.
only about $1,500 for
She
somebody.
says
But,
15.
but what if everyone tries to do it in your building?
Him putting it is fine, and somebody else putting it is fine. The problem is when everybody in the neighborhood puts it in, and the transformers, that, for the
Right.
neighborhood blow, because they just can't make the
Well,
blow.
no, they all charge at 9 to 12,
Yeah, actually though, the autonomous cars, I hadn't really thought that much, about it. But somebody made a point to me that I didn't even think about when it came to, the safety around it, because estimates, I guess, are saying that if all the cars were autonomous, we'd probably reduce traffic accidents by something like 94% or something.
Well, it's the number one killer.
Right, so then where does that, all of the things that would change if you had, 94% less, automobile
Traffic
accidents.
enforcement goes away.
Right,
So
traffic,
your police department shrinks drastically.
Well, one of the
Well, they become
things
fire departments.
that I had said, I said, oh, well, this doesn't, being able to call, like even Uber or, any of the car services don't necessarily work for me because I have kids that require car seats and, nobody.
I always had car seats in my Uber car.
Right, but, yeah, exactly, it's just like now you can only pick up one person instead of three. It's just like it limits you, who you can pick up and where. And the person who we're talking to, he's just like, yeah, but if there's, 94% in the reduction of accidents, he's like, then why do you need the car seat? And it's just like, then, it's just like now you can now take advantage of that system without needing like that whole additional infrastructure that you actually have to put in place to make vehicles safe for children. You would just get in.
But the biggest problem you have is that we all grow up as Americans, liking cars, driving cars, that's a big part of it. The
Yeah.
coming of age story, that's the whole big thing.
Although it's much less of a coming of age story now.
It's Facebook now. The love affair with cars going away is dying.
But it's interesting, like Tesla, right?
Cars
Cars
are
are
going now, like,
kind of being
you're so-
advertised as an
As a-
autonomous car, right?
Right.
But they still sell the one with ludicrous mode that
Yeah.
allows you to drive 0 to 60 in
And way
2.3
too
seconds,
fast.
right?
Right.
I mean, that's.
Who
that-
cares?
I mean,
But,
there's
but,
still
but that's what he said, right? People
Yeah.
like driving cars, and
Yes.
that's why they spend $110,000
Sure. More than
on a
that.
self-driving car.
They're still selling Variants, Bugatti Variants at 1.5 million.
That's right.
They're like 16 or 1,200 horse.
With a
What can you
lead
do-
time of 5 years.
What can you do with 1,200 horsepower? There's no
Go
freeway
fast.
in the world that you can do anything with that legally, but they're
Well,
still selling them.
There's a stretch of.
Yeah, not even the Autobahn, they'll pull you over that fast.
No, it's in Jeremy, it's the
Yeah.
VW test track.
The
5 miles.
The 5 miles straight.
The one track.
Yeah, so
Right.
it's one track.
But the point is that for that to work, people have to give up the ability to drive.
Right.
And that's in our DNA, it seems to be in our human DNA.
Currently, yes.
American DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, other countries have gotten over this because public transportation is so good, but we like to drive. We don't want to give up.
God.
But you get the young kids today that don't even drive. I know half a dozen 25-year-olds that don't have driver's license.
Yeah, I actually, one of my colleagues, she's 23, she just got her driver's license.
The 2 people I live with don't drive.
Yeah, they use Uber, they use
My
public
youngest daughter
transportation, they just,
never bothered. She lives in a
Yeah.
small town, doesn't have to have a car.
It's a college grad, the old year in Europe, now it's a year working on an organic farm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's-
Yeah.
Instead of,
I have a strategic question. If we have major improvements in autonomous cars and major improvements in artificial intelligence, are we going to get a more sophisticated road rage?
Well,
we'll just leave it to a
well,
hacker.
Yeah.
actually, computer can't angry itself.
Right, yeah.
Ex
Autonomous
machina.
car.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Skynet.
You wanna block this intersection at 3:35 in the afternoon, it's all done, just button press, you know, and then, well, what do? Well, tow trucks, I guess, what are you gonna do?
That is interesting about the hacker though, right? Because it's like Doug talked about the tire pressure monitoring
Oh,
chip,
no, it
right?
was-
So that they develop a super secure car, but the tire pressure monitoring chip
Could
is
be
probably the
accurate.
same one that they're using in the Fords and the Jeeps and all the other cars.
And if it's vulnerable.
And it's weakest link.
Your tires are flat, the car slows down, pulls over to the side of the road,
And
and
now
then
you're-
vulnerable.
You are the biggest leak, goodbye.
No.
And how secure are those
The
cars?
GPS system
is the gateway into the computers.
Well, I heard
That's
that, but I
wireless.
also
The
heard
technician
that,
proximity sensor?
well, TPMS, it's a tire pressure monitoring system.
Yeah,
Well,
it's Wi-Fi.
Or Bluetooth or whatever.
that's right.
So that means,
There isn't
It's
enough
gonna
room
reach
there
TPS
for
trigger.
yes,
that.
your car has a Wi-Fi receiver,
That's right.
right? To get the tire pressure sensor.
Thank
The
God
other
it's only
thing
active.
is, you know, aren't all new cars right now coming with Wi-Fi?
Yeah. Well, they're trying to do, not Wi-Fi, but satellite to
Yeah,
a
3G
distributed
or-
net.
3G or 4G.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, but that's not satellite.
well, but they're actually, they're
Cellular,
gonna throw
charter satellite
everything
internet.
into it.
But
if
you're
they
the one
can.
who told us about the disk drives with the chip in it that had a GSM.
Yeah, yeah. No, but the cars, right,
I think it ended like.
Ford,
this month or
GM,
something.
who's the other
Oh,
guy?
no, they've,
Chrysler.
they
Yeah,
are now.
Chrysler. They're giving you that because they want to collect the data from you.
Well, that and also
Which
there's
car do you have
other
on?
services that sell subscriptions.
Right,
to it, so
And
it's
yeah,
just
so
one-
we'll see where this is going.
Marketing.
Marketing.
Marketing. Oh, that's praise marketing because it paid for Wi-Fi.
Instead of robocalls, we'll get Wi-Fi ads as you're
Oh,
driving
great.
down.
You already get that with Waves, I mean.
So we can just
Yeah.
press close, answer.
Well,
cancel.
and the other thing you're not seeing is you're driving down the road and you're hungry, you don't have to pull off the road
That's true.
to get fast food, you just order it up and it's delivered by drone.
All right, we're ready
Oh,
for
right,
that.
there we go. It catches up to you in your autonomous
Of course.
car.
Yeah,
And then- Yeah.
it just,
Wait.
it just docks.
Yeah, and then, yeah. So it's
That's
kind
what's
of
good.
like, it's kind of like the drive-up diner, except you no
Well,
longer
all
have.
right, wait a
But
minute.
you got look ahead and
It's the
see.
reverse of the drive-up
I'm
diner.
gonna play the Microsoft GM. Ship it.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
So,
If you're on the freeway here, you're not moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can finally eat.
well, no, here you take deliveries from Amazon.
Sure.
Drone delivery of porta potties.
Yeah, how's that gonna work?
Diaper pickup.
Oh,
How is
I
an
love it.
autonomous car and an autonomous drone gonna start being, well, you know, I'll talk to you.
4 years. 4
Yeah.
years maybe.
Yeah.
There'll be lots of arguments before then, but eventually they'll
But-
talk to each
God,
other.
that's the new business, right?
It is.
Food delivery on the freeway
So,
while you're
so,
stuck in traffic.
so, or even, the GPS looking
Yeah.
at, so when you are actually moving, it's looking at, you figure, I'm gonna be hungry in an hour. What can I have delivered? And it'll present you with the menu when you order, and it just.
And then as you get close, the
it-
drone just comes out.
Yeah, so-
In-N-Out burgers,
Yeah.
right?
Finally, Staples
they're gonna have to
is
change the
delivering
name.
reports
Actually,
on
you gotta
time.
read, it's up and down burgers.
Up and down, oh my God.
Oh, there we go. That's funny.
I mean, even for current times, I'd love to be able to get off BART and have my dinner there.
Well,
That's a good business.
Wait, hang on, let me ask you something. This is something, it's relevant to smart, this is.
Here we're getting crazy now.
No, not at all.
What's your
This
I don't think
is so-called private railway they're putting in to take you from North Guerneville down to, I guess they're gonna eventually go down to Puerto Madera. When they do this, the whole idea was to let professionals work as they're going, except they're gonna disallow use of things like cell phones, and as far as I know, they haven't put in Wi-Fi for the riders, so it's just piggybacking on whatever.
So,
Oh my God, they're gonna read a book?
How about for Europe? Because
so
of
pretty
Europe?
soon, for a purpose, disallowing it, to make that possible.
Exactly, if you're gonna try and be functional, you better be
So-
paying for the whole car.
So the whole plan was really put together by a committee.
Idiots.
Yeah, well, we have already discussed committees.
So,
That's right, that was an old discussion from why we don't have dinner.
the other side of the autonomous vehicles and the drone delivery is fast forward probably 30, 40 years. In some of our lifetimes, your taxi is gonna be a drone. Your taxi will transport you by air. Because it's coming. The safety will be there at some
The
point.
jet
Well, and you don't have to
are
pay for,
finally-
We're running into air flying
road
cars. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, but that's 40 years late.
Oh, and we don't have dinner because we lack a committee. Lack a
Actually,
committee who actually.
we already understand, we just don't have enough sponsors.
Yeah,
We're working on it.
you're working on it.
And I actually have been working on it. I've been twisting arms of marketing people about half my business. Because I'd like to get some of them in here to actually give some talks, to give some crunchy stuff, because I'm tired of, sitting through them, sitting through those talks in my time. You know, I'm tired of the marketing people promising me a crunchy phone call, you know, and then the sales engineer not being able to make it,
Make
so.
it right, whereas if we
it's-
can get them to come
So
here.
it's just sales, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Power.
It's a nice place to visit.
Well, hope to see you next month.
We'll be back at our regular location
I hope
next
to
month,
see you next month.
so that we don't have to, you know,
So, yeah,
go through security again, yeah.
yeah.
Fight traffic to get up to this end of the,
It was actually not bad.
And again,
Yeah, what is traffic?
I don't know, because it's Dreamforce, and I parked across the street from Dreamforce, and I got here in 10 minutes.
They made me like this last year.
I do a lot of work on
Zero
Azure,
salary, no money.
just slap together for training.
Well,
So
never
all of a
mentioned
sudden,